Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I trust we are doing well. I trust we are faring well. My name is Kenda Ruth Onoshaga. My what's the name now? Tripod seems to be a bit higher than my hair, but let's manage it. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Build with Pandora, your daily knowledge sharing session. And again, this session is all about helping you as a business owner amplify your marketing efforts. And for the last 16 days, I believe today's day 17, we've touched on different aspects of marketing. We've touched on content strategy, we've touched on measurement, we've touched on different aspects. So please feel free, if you'd like to see the video, to go on our YouTube page and click on live, I believe, and you should find the video of the past sessions there. Today I'm actually very excited about today's topic, and that's because this was a service we launched in the year 2020. And since then, it's been one of our most sought services as an agency, and one that we happily deliver on the results for each of our clients. We've worked on clients across different sectors, individuals within C-suite, in amplifying their voices as well as spotlighting the great achievements they've attained in their career as well as in their industry. All right, so I'm going to. This is very needed today. It's a very cold weather. So I'm just going to get right into it. And today's topic is personal branding. So I'm going to be talking about brand building for business owners. Brand building for business owners. As a business owner myself, that has run and currently runs a couple of businesses, the importance of brand building for business owners cannot be overly stated. Perception building, personal branding, brand building, it all cumulates to being the same thing, right? And how we approach this service for quite a number of our clients, either as entrepreneurs or as C-suite executives within Fortune 500 companies, within the Nigerian space, within the African continent, it all really, it depends on whatever it is the objectives are. So I have here my notes. I'm going to go through some of the things that I've actually noted. All right. Number one, how we approach this is we want to find out who you are. So what is your objective for your personal brand? What is your career objective? What is your personal objective? So are you looking to transition from the career space within the next couple of years or a couple of months into, being an entrepreneur, being a consultant, being, a business owner? We need to have that information, and that's because that information feeds into the overall strategy we actually develop bespoke to each of our clients. And in doing this, it's also to understand and identify the authenticness of who you are, because everybody is unique, and a personal brand is exactly what it means. A personal brand, it is you. It has to do with you. It's all about you, and it cannot be about the next person. So it's very important that your authentic voice is known, who it is that people will be hearing from, and what are the things that drive you. What are your motivations? Are you going to come? Do you want to come across as, goofy, cocky, your tonality, sarcastic, and that's because in content composition, these are the things that will amplify the pillars that actually built for your brand. So it's very important to know this. Another is, like I mentioned, in clarifying your goals. What would you like to achieve? Are you looking to transition from the 9 to 5 space to being a consultant, to being an entrepreneur? I know of a C-suite executive. She was actually a director at a multinational, and she's excelled across different multinationals, within the African space. And she was looking to gradually phase that out to begin a consultancy practice. So what we did for her was very simple. Once we understood what our objectives were, as well as the timelines in which she was looking to transition. Now, that differs for different people. Some people, they don't know what to do in 10 years, in 5 years, which is fine. So you start with the now. All right. So, what's your career plan for the next 12 months, 6 months, right? And your content will be in development of that particular knowledge. And very important, aside from that, who are you talking to? Who are the people that should consume your content? Now, I'm going to still use this lady. Let's just call her our context provider for today, right? She was looking to transition into a very, very notable industry, right? And she wanted, of course, she's had the career for 22 years. And again, she has worked for a lot of multinationals. And again, she has achieved greatness in her career, but nobody knew that but her, a line manager, and some of these companies that she has worked for. So it's the taking of this content, taking all these experiences, and actually creating content around it. Let's say, case in point, she successfully built, helped build, or assisted, or was part of the team that built a factory, a manufacturing plant in the heart of Lagos, right? And that is to show that she has to know how the skill set, product management skills, and all the other skills that required, negotiation with government, around government relations. So all this is a very pivotal, right? Now is how do we communicate this in a content strategy? So it's very important to also identify your target audience, because in communication of this for this particular client, what we did was we knew who our target audience was, right? Or rather where. And we knew what they liked to see. We knew how they liked, to be communicated to. We knew where they were. So our channel of communication was pretty much straightforward. We knew that. We knew also the storytelling style, the tonality, all right, also communicates this achievement. So it was pretty clear and straightforward, right? At least for us. So it's very important to identify your goals, to know, what exactly, what has been your experiences. You should be able to write this down as a business owner. What have you been able to achieve since you started your career? What are those things you're able to achieve even since you started your business? What are those key points that you like people to know of that you possess a certain skill set in? All right, so let's go on to the next point, and that is your channels. And I think I've touched on this a bit. Your channel of communication matters. Content remains the heartbeat of a lot of marketing efforts, remains the heartbeat of it, and that's not going to change as long as Google still is Google, as well as other search engines being other search engines. And that's because people consume content, right? And they consume content in different formats. So it's ensuring that you know how your audience would like to receive the content, where they are at. So channel of communication is very important. You can never go wrong. You can never go wrong in ensuring that your content is optimized in the best possible places. Going back to our context, our example of the lady that has 22 years experience, I believe so far, in what she does. Let me narrow down and say she's a music executive, and she's worked in the music space for 22 years. And is saying that in identifying the channels of communication to spread this, not just social media. Social media is very cute, like I would say. Of course, it's a given. Social media, you have to post things on the name that is, tagged with yours, post content there. But beyond social media, is also identifying those nuanced channels that are peculiar rather, within the music industry niche, right? Those record label, they have blogs, international music agency, they have blogs, magazines, online magazines, offline magazines, and not just even just writing. Again, because content is in different formats. It can be a podcast. So we had her on different podcasts, international podcasts, as well as some local podcasts, but platforms that actually we were going to find a target audience. So that meant that we're very selective of the podcast. We're very selective of the channels of communication that we wanted to put her on. And that's because, again, your target audience, you have to bear that in mind. Where are they? Where do they consume their information? You have to bear that in mind when you're disseminating your communication materials. All right, and obviously ensuring that your customer, or you as a business owner now, you as a business owner, identify areas in which you can actually share your content. Again, via different formats. You can be a part of a podcast, You're writing as a columnist in either a newspaper or media house or whatever it is, right? But ensure that it's where your target market is. So, for example, as a business owner, one major reason why business owners usually would want to have their personal brand either resurrected or started off is because of investment, right? Either they're looking at investment for the now or for much later. So they want to start that process. Okay. So it's very important that it's not when you actually want to start getting investments, that's when you start your personal brand. Now, you should start now because it's built over time. I know I started my personal brand when I actually first started my career in marketing. I had other careers, but I knew marketing was my thing and it was going to be my thing for a very long time. So I started my personal brand around that topic. So I was writing blog posts. I believe some of them I even said on LinkedIn. You know, I was a columnist and I'm still a columnist for an African magazine. So things of that nature, things that would amplify as well as identify who you are. And one thing I tell a lot of business owners is just Google your name. Google your name. And Google your name not because you're self-serving. No, Google your name because you want to see what comes up. Very important. You want to see what comes up behind your name, those because that is your digital footprint. Absolutely. That is why a lot of investors will either trust your brand to come on board and you fund your business, or even international agencies want to affiliate themselves with you. So it's very, very, very important. Now, if you don't find as much information about yourself on Google, about your business on Google, there is something amiss. You may want to actually look into, brand building for yourself. Again, it's about what is of interest to you. As a business owner, you may actually find love for the arts. Maybe you're an arts lover. You love, acrylic paint. You love, nature paintings or whatever it is. You can add it as part of your strategy. Who says it must be all about business? It shouldn't be all about business. I love what the past ambassador to Greece from Nigeria does. She loves plants, and you can see that she's a biophilia, and it reflects in how our content is actually being disseminated across board. You cannot not say that you do not know that because she always emphasizes on that. Another thing that comes top of mind about her is also she loves playing the organ. She loves playing piano, right? She has an interest in it, and that's because of what she shows. So it's very important that your personal brand, again, it's you. What are those things that are of interest to you? Now, it's not taking away the fact that yes, you can drop business nuggets here and there, especially maybe you're an agripreneur. Is that agripreneur they call them? I think so. Agripreneur, so maybe an agricultural entrepreneur, right? And we know that this is also very pivotal to the economy, to the Nigerian economy. You can easily, create a strategy around, being a solutionist. So what are the loopholes within the agricultural space in Nigeria? Or maybe just speak a state in Lagos, in Calabar, right? And you've noticed the gaps there. You've noticed that when, tomatoes are being harvested, this about 90% of those tomatoes actually spoil. Now, how can you provide or prefer a solution from an agriculturalist or or as an agripreneur, to that particular solution? So it's very important, you ensure that what you do is tied into your hobbies as to form your entire content strategy. I cannot overstress this. It's just going to make it more fun for you to do. To be honest, you would not see it as work. Another thing is having, and this is something that we neglect a lot, and maybe because I'm a creative, so my eyes are always very catchy when it comes to certain creative elements, right? You want to have an identifiable identity. So, what does that mean? So, for each of our clients that actually comes on board, we encourage them to have their logo. And that's because we want that to be the identity anywhere you go. The same way you have a bank, the same way you have any company at all that has a logo. The same thing applies for an individual. You want to have an identifiable logo that once people see that logo, they think about you. It's all about top of mind recognition. They think about you and they also want to, okay, so what does this person do? They get fascinated, especially if the brand aesthetics is very beautiful. It's very eye pleasing. So it's something that I should also want to consider. It doesn't have to be anything flamboyant. It can just be the first two letters of your name or even just one letter of your name. We have a client and it's simply just, oh, So it depends. We have some with 3 letters, we have some with their first names. It all depends really on the identity as well as the personality of the individual. So brand element should not be understated. If you're going to be creating video-based content, you want to ensure the video-based content is something that it's easily assimilated. People would love to watch or would love to hear you speak to them about what you do. Is very important as well. I know that this my setup is not the best right now, but I've tried my best to ensure that my lipstick is red. You can see my lipstick at least, and ensure that I have a light that shines so you can actually see me and hear the words from my mouth. So there's a little psychological element within marketing, within content that I need a lot of business owners to start thinking about as well. So ensure your hair is well done, ensure you have a clean shave, ensure you look very lively, you look very nice, because all this goes towards your digital footprint and it's very, very pivotal. All right. I'm going to end on telling your story as a personal brand enthusiast or as a business owner that wants to start their personal brand. Storytelling remains one of the most beautiful ways to communicate to people because stories are always remembered. Stories I always remembered. I remember Greg Rochelle, who is the senior pastor at Life Church, saying this during one of the global leadership summits that I attended, that stories shape, how people react to certain information. Story is also shapes how they receive certain information, and certainly stories definitely does transform lives, especially when it hits home, especially when it hits the target audience. So in telling your story, you want to ensure, first of all, you're authentic. And where you're curating other people's stories, you give credit to them as well. It's very, very important. It's quite unprofessional when you create a person's story and you do not give them credit for it. It's actually called theft, plagiarism. So it's very important we bear this in mind. The same way you quote somebody and put their name, that's the same way it applies to a story. In telling your story, you want to also, again, be very authentic. No story is minute because people go through different experiences, especially as business owners, especially if you're watching me from Nigeria and you operate businesses or a business in Nigeria. It's very, very important to be authentic. It's very important to be honest, and also to be forthcoming, and how approach it rather from a solutionist perspective. And that's because you want people to always derive solutions when your stories is being told. So what did you learn from that journey? What did you learn from that experience after you've told your story? I stumbled upon a very good gentleman's post on LinkedIn a couple of days back. I believe his name is Odaro. And and I think he's doing this in series where he highlights how he got promoted, how he has been getting promoted. I think it's off 95, but how he got promoted during his career span, with, I believe, a multinational. And that was very brilliant to me. And that's because people can relate to that story. There are a lot of Nigerians in Nigeria and outside, as well as other people that are not Nigerians that can easily relate to that story. And that's because people want to get promoted, plain and simple. People want to, find avenues to contribute, to be recognized for what they've done and the achievements in providing value. So it's very, very pivotal we also think about this. So please tell your story. The world needs to hear about what's going on with you, as well as your experiences so far and your learnings from those experiences. I remain Kende Ruth Onashaga, and this is Build with Pandora, your daily knowledge sharing session on all things marketing. Personal branding can be akin to perception building, can be akin to reputation management, can be akin to content marketing as well. So really, it's marketing in totality. It's just for individuals as opposed to being for brands that most people actually are aware of. And also, I think I'm going to end on a final note by telling business owners that they should not shy away from personal branding. If you're not so familiar with how to do it, Pandora actually we have a questionnaire that we share with each each personal brand that's looking to come on board. If you like this questionnaire, I'm more than happy to have the team include the link to that. Maybe we'll upload it on our website so that this is downloaded and you can use that in guiding your personal branding efforts. Again, I remain Kenny Ruth Sugar, and thank you so much for joining me today.